Hello there folks. Now, we continue sort of a tradition on this channel of leaping into a game series right in the middle. I do actually have Soul Reaver 1, believe it or not, but I can't record a PS1 because I can't remember where the hell I put my capture card, so we're going to start with this right here. Yeah. Spiky sword. Oh yes. Without further ado. Kain, quick! 2-for-1 sale with shirts at Hot Topic. Sadly, I didn't have any pants though when they asked me to leave.
I'm disappointed in your progress.
Well, that's hurtful.
Be here sooner.
I tried, Matt. Jesus Christ.
Did it trouble you to murder?
That's one buff-ass Nosferatu. Legacy of Kain, what legacy of gains?
Eternity is relentless, Raziel.
That's what they tell me.
Stole into this chamber centuries ago. I did not fathom the true power of knowledge.
But now I've read a book.
To know the future.
A whole
Raziel.
book,
To
Raziel.
see its paths and streams tracing out into the infinite.
Does the doctor know you're in here?
I could never contain such forbidden truths. But each of us is so much more than we once were. Do you not feel with all your soul how we have become like gods?
I fucking love the dialogue in these games. I'm sorry I'm gonna gush about this. It's incredibly hammy, but
As long as a single
I adore
one
it, I really
of
do.
us stands, we are legion. Our futures are predestined. Mobius foretold mine.
Entire sets of digital scenery being destroyed as we watch.
Fate has written for us. Free will is an illusion.
Kain, it's too early for this.
Found the tomb of
Ah, but in here,
How could
perhaps it's too late.
turning him into a vampire? How could I not? One must keep his friends close, Raziel, and his enemies even closer.
And then Keys. Oh,
Better
fuck.
to serve me than those whose passion transcends all notions of good and evil.
The Sarafan were saviors, defending Nazgûl from the corruption that we represent.
Oh, my little blue buddy, it's never that simple.
I find no nobility in the unlife you rudely forced on my unwilling corpse.
Oh my!
You
Don't
may
have a
have
soul-destroying weapon in my arm.
but you know nothing of it. You think the Sarafan were noble, altruistic? Oh, don't be silly.
Wrath of the Gods, that's the wrong game, Kain.
Their
That's
agenda
cheating.
is the same as ours.
Green lightning means good, right? Pretty sure that's how it works. Ooh, spoopily.
You nearly had me, Raziel.
Oh my. Stop your teleporting.
But this is not where or how it ends. Fate promises more twists before this drama unfolds. Completely.
It's like Shakespeare is written by M. Night Shyamalan, isn't it? It's basically this entire sequence is a recreation of like the last... What, 50... Oh, there's my soul blade. It's a recreation of the last like 15 minutes of the end of Game 1. With obviously updated graphics and FMVs and what else have you. And yes, you saw that right. A immaterial blade literally came out of my arm. Raziel is the literal definition of an edgy boy. Ugh. Going through time warps makes you feel like a baked potato. Ah, Dr. Frankenfurter!
Welcome, time-span soul.
My god.
To your destiny.
Things have not been kind to, Tim Curry, have they? So yeah. Ooh, that spoopy eye fade. Nice. Ooh. Not sure why I cut the desktop there for a second.
Is the usual question. In your case, when might be more apt?
Ah, wordplay. Ah, my glowy arm. I swear this never happens.
Very well, you old snake. If you'd prefer I use my bare hands.
Oh my.
Well, this is completely
Something about the dialogue, everything sounds like an
This
innuendo. That might just be me, though.
disables our vampire enemies, leaving them helpless and incapacitated. Strangely, it seems to have the same effect on that peculiar weapon of yours. But you
Intriguing.
must... I mean you no harm.
You can drop the benevolent facade, Mobius. I know who and what you are. I shall kill you where you stand.
I've got a 90s boy band haircut, I've just noticed.
Perhaps you should, my boy.
Hopefully you guys can't see all the tearing that's going on right now on my screen. I think it's probably the TV. Probably.
My role as Time Guardian affords me a certain level of omniscience, Raziel.
I love the fact this game's from an era where we didn't really do, like, facial capturing. So we actually had to try and, with increasingly complex, rigging skeletons, get real facial expressions. So everything looks really cartoony, exaggerated.
For us all, Raziel.
Except for me, I'm a wraith. I literally can't, well, I can die, but I can't stay dead.
We have never met.
Terrible affliction.
On the contrary, Raziel, I know you very well. And it grieves me to see how cruelly Kain has used you. I knew you when you were one of the Sarafan Brotherhood, Raziel. We were even close. Oh, please. Fortunately,
So much snark. Love it.
you need not
Just
love
absolutely
me
love it.
to be my ally.
I should hope not. Kind of a creepy prerequisite.
Of the Sarafan priesthood.
Yes. But the
I recognise their
glorious days of
wall
the
art.
Sarafan have long since passed.
Such edgy boys.
I'm afraid. This is a more cynical and indecorous age. My mercenary army now inhabits this stronghold. We strive to honor the memory of the Sarafan with our own humble crusade.
Is this the vampire Voron?
Nothing like a bit of fanboy genocide, is there?
Scourge of the Circle, the most depraved and decadent example of his whole degenerate race. He slaughtered 6 of my fellow Guardians as they cowered defenseless in this room.
And
What kind of a guardian is defenseless?
This massacre?
Seems like the job title would imply that you can guard
The
things.
Circle was devastated. Only we 3 were spared.
How convenient. You'll forgive me if I don't naively devour every scrap of information you toss me. You have a reputation for deceit.
And who has slandered me so? Your malefactor, Kain? The one who betrayed and destroyed you? Our common enemy? Consider the source before you judge.
Yeah, I've just noticed he's like a time guardian or whatever. He's got an infinity symbol stitched on his bloody forehead.
But consider
My
our alliance,
god, it's just a
based
fine
on
thing he's not a
our common
gynecologist.
ground. We both want Kain dead. I can help you do it.
You don't want to meddle in this, old man. I know all about your sordid little schemes, but you're simply out of your depth on this one.
You underestimate me, Raziel. Let me show you.
Show what?
Even now,
My
Kain
Warhammer
is
collection.
lying for you, unaware that I've snatched you out of the time stream and brought you here to me. See how he lingers.
That seeing pool looks suspiciously like a JPEG.
Destroy, foolishly confident that he has eluded your grasp.
The pillars are still standing in this time.
Yes, Raziel. They are the embodiment of the divine force which preserves the life of our world. We who serve the pillars maintain their delicate balance, and Kain is destined to be the fulcrum upon which that balance turns. I believe you have already endured the wasteland wrought by his terrible, selfish decision. Kain's very existence is a cancer upon this world. As long as he lives, all of Nosgoth is in peril. You may never again be human, Raziel. But you can re-embrace the essence of your humanity and the nobility of your Sarafan heritage. Go to him
By going on a murderous genocidal
and
quest.
end this. But first,
Well, we sort of already did that in the
you will
first
need
game.
to find your way out of the
Killed a lot of
stronghold, and in
vampires.
this, I'm afraid I cannot help you. My soldiers will not understand your appearance here. They will try to kill you. You needn't fear them, of course. They're no match for you. Try to
It's a snake trying to eat your ball, by the way.
minimum. But do what you have to do. All great movements require a few martyrs.
Do you have any idea how sinister you sound, mate? Any idea at all? You're not pushing your case very well.
Alone,
I'm just saying.
I surveyed my surroundings and noticed a second time streaming chamber.
Yeah, you'll learn quite quickly
Its
one of Raziel's favourite things to do is
identical to the
monologue.
first, but with one
In
distinction.
intricate linguistic
The
detail.
crystal was significant, but how? I had not yet discovered.
Ooh, I know. Mainly because I've played this before. So yeah, where do we even start? Where do we even start with all of this? Okay, so... trying to give like the briefest summary possible. We were originally a priest, part of a sect that went around hunting and killing vampires. When we and our brothers finally fell and were entombed, the last remaining vampire, Kain, pillaged said tomb and resurrected us as vampires. Now, from what I understand, vampires that are created from dead bodies essentially inherit a brand new personality. They don't remember anything about their former lives at all. We served his faithful lieutenants for decades. We developed a random mutation that allowed us to fly. We were the first vampire to do so. Normally what would happen is Kain would develop a power, and then all his progeny would develop it afterwards. He was a little bit pissed off at this change in the normal pace of things, and threw us into a whirling vortex of necrotic energy. As you do. We were saved from being completely destroyed by a multi-eyed tentacle monstrosity that is definitely not Cthulhu. That's copyrighted. And semi-resurrected as a wraith, which is a sort of ghost-vampire hybrid, essentially. Gameplay-wise, this means we can shift between the solid physical realm and the ghost world, which you don't really see much of in the early sections of this game. It was a lot more prevalent in the first game. A lot more. Now, we were obviously told by this elder entity that it had done so to allow us to exact revenge upon Kain. Though it's pretty clear, just from the beginning of the game, really, obviously this thing wanted Kain dead for its own reasons. Kain himself, God, how do I summarise the entire other game series? Was originally, in fact, I think I was right, he was originally human, and supposed to be one of the guardians of the pillars, which Mobius had just mentioned. Something happened that drove him nuts as a kid, so, no, not just him, all the guardians in fact, nuts and corrupted the pillars. However, it was revealed to him that he could return the pillars to their proper status by killing the mad guardians, and then offing himself, which would allow brand new guardians untainted to be born. Pillars are purified, worlds resumed, balance, etc., etc.
This was the heritage so foully stolen from me when
however, things didn't go exactly as planned. In order to make himself powerful enough to do what needed to be done, he allowed himself to be turned... Actually, I can't remember if he allowed or was forced to be turned into a vampire, one to. So he'd have the strength and powers to actually take on a guardian and successfully kill them. He was also tricked by Mobius into going back in time and killing the king of the humans. Which incited a massive war which basically wiped out all vampires except for Kain himself. I mean, I can't remember exactly why Mobius wanted to do this. It's something to do... I think it was just generally so that he would end up in charge of a mercenary army. But like in charge of the world was the idea. That was supposed to happen. What ended up happening instead is that once Kain finished killing the Guardians, he refused to off himself. Instead, obviously like I say, raiding the burial grounds of various powerful former humans, turning them and using them to conquer the world. Obviously this had several negative effects, which you found out in the first game, namely that all that massive imbalance in the world with this vampires' unlife being the dominant energy caused the world to start stagnating and decaying and twisting. The vampires themselves even continued to mutate further and further and become less and less close to humanity.
That orb was as debilitating to vampires as it was to the blade. It gave Mobius a powerful advantage over his enemies. I finally understood how Mobius's crusade could decimate the vampires so successfully. If he could immobilize his enemies, they were at his mercy. Why, I wondered, would the staff have any effect on the Reaver?
It's the soul of a vampire, or something like that. I don't remember the details. It's been a very long time since I played this game. I did, like I said, I played and completed Soul Reaver 1 again recently, because I bought a legit, like, original model PS1 to terrorize the missus with Resident Evil, basically. It's an ongoing thing. She likes horror games as long as I'm the one playing them and commenting on them. She gets very nervous, bless her little heart, when she's trying to play them herself. So naturally, being the caring, loving boyfriend that I am, I try to get her to play as many horror games as I can, as often as I can. I think she's absolutely adorable, curled up on my lap, controller in hand, squinting at the screen. Do you mind, son? You're making me look a fool. Yeah, the combat in this game is really weird. The combat in number 1 was essentially non-existent, ridiculously easy. In this game, combat will either go incredibly smoothly and you'll wipe out entire legions of enemies in seconds, or they'll just stun-lock you to death. Now, it's going to keep flashing for the rest of the game, because I'm probably going to never actually block. The game insists, you need to block, you need to dodge, you really don't. As long as you get the first strike in, you've won. Whoever gets the first strike wins, is essentially the way the combat in this game works. Now, some of the characters are a bit hard to deal with, such as these ladies. You have to jump over them to try and make sure you get the aforementioned first hit. As long as they're also irritating, because they're one of the few characters that can do that bullshit. They can knock you out of a combo, or just ignore the fact you're hitting them, and continue to go with a power strike. It's not consistent either. It's not an intended ability. Sometimes they will knock you out of your attack with their own. Other times, you'll knock them out of theirs. And the fact that every single enemy in this game can attack faster than you, I do mean every single one. These enemies, these ladies with the big pole arms, you'd think they'd have to take a bit of a slower, more windy build-up than me poking or slashing with my relatively smaller sword here. Nope, they can still attack faster than me. Everything can attack faster than you, and this looks like the Smo and Ornstein Cathedral, doesn't it? I've just realised. Then again, every cathedral now looks like that to me. Spent far too many hours playing the Dark Souls. Just why it is at this point. Now never mind. Let's carry on. There's more cutscenes.
As I neared the stronghold's inner sanctum,
I always got the feeling whoever worked on this was a really big fan of Hideo Kojima.
Feeling of displacement, a sense of
I get a really deep sense of well-being when immersed in a full-length movie-style cutscene.
Seemed to emanate from the sanctuary's furthest chapel. As I cautiously approached, the sense of dislocation intensified with each step.
God, the dialogue!
So this was the tomb of the beloved King William the Just, beatified here.
I know, it seems kind of lacking in a way, doesn't it?
I was reminded
expect
of
more
Kain's
statues.
Journey as a fledgling vampire. How Mobius coerced him to travel back in history and assassinate William.
I've already given this backstory.
A genocidal hatred of vampires among the citizens of Nosgoth. And here I discovered the source of the displacement. The Soul Reaver itself.
Yeah, I'm gonna forward admit I don't remember why both Kain and William have both got a Soul Reaver.
Apparently in the battle between William and Kain. I had not thought such a thing was possible. Until, of course, Kain shattered the blade against me when he tried to strike me down. Thus the captive spirit inhabiting the Reaver was released, and binding itself to me became my symbiotic weapon. And so the Reaver met its former self, still imprisoned in this corporeal shell. I watched, mesmerized.
I've seen Time Cop, this doesn't end well.
The blade uncoiled itself and snaked down the length of the physical blade, embracing its twin, its mirror self. The Reaver's long dormant spirit was now fully aroused. And
oh
for the
my!
First time, I felt the true presence of this other entity, willful, ravenous, and deranged from thousands of years of imprisonment. The Reaver was now in command, and I, now merely its helpless host, felt my soul being leeched to restore the blade.
It does beg the question, why does it want to restore the blade?
But the Reaver
if the
knew
blade is a
better
prison.
to destroy its host, and just as I neared the brink of oblivion, the blade released its hold on me. As I recovered, I realized we were now bound together in a fragile alliance. The Reaver no longer merely my symbiotic weapon,
there's a guy behind you.
sentient parasite
Raziel.
competing for
Raziel, stop the
control.
monologue. There's a man. Right there.
What have you done to me, Mobius? Is this your trap?
More shaky cam than Michael Bay going on right now.
Don't forget it was Kain.
My
who
god,
led you
Mobius, your
on
hands are
the path.
gigantic.
While you curse me,
You got elephantitis or something.
soul in Nosgoth, ready to
Or is this
guide
bad guys
and
designed by
assist you.
Disney again?
Kain laughs at our folly and revels in your dismay.
These blades, now coiled in sinister embrace, have inspired terror in the hearts of creatures far more durable than you, old man. Bound together as they are, I can only imagine what they could do to your soul's fragile shell.
Raziel, I beg you to stay your hand. This was none of my doing.
Like, these are quite literally
I sought only
cartoon
to aid you
visuals
in
with
your righteous quest.
really over-the-top
Are you
dramatic
sure,
dialogue.
Mobius? Has your confidence abandoned you? You seem to have made a
I love it so
fatal
much.
error by leaving your precious staff behind. Is that where all your courage comes from?
Listen to me, Raziel. You don't know what you're doing. I have taken an enormous risk by appearing here before you, so defenseless, yet eager to prove my good intentions. If there's anything left of the Seraphim in you, you won't do this. While you threaten me, your true enemy eludes you.
Don't concern yourself with Kain. He'll join you in hell soon enough. As you said, death comes for us all.
Stab.
Yes, the wheel of fate demands it.
What did you say?
The wheel of fate. The inexorable cycle of death and rebirth to which all men are compelled. We serve the same God, Raziel.
Not Fulu.
To strike me down.
Well, I think it's actually supposed to be a derivation of Nefelatep, but nah, it doesn't matter.
And I don't believe even you would take that risk.
Slap.
Tire of your games, Mobius. Now that I know you fear me, I needn't concern myself with you. Kain is waiting for
Wait, did I just throw away my
Go
soul
then,
weapon?
Raziel. Seek Kain out and destroy him in the name of the one God we both serve. You, who were once a Seraphim priest, murdered, profaned, destroyed, and reborn again from his mercy. You are now most powerfully equipped to be his agent, his instrument of restoration and retribution.
My own vengeance is motivation enough.
My ultimate power at closed doors.
By my soul, you almost had me,
Oh my.
my little blue assassin.
Yep, just call me Stabby
That'll be
Smurf.
the one and only chance you get. I assure you of that.
I don't know about that. I've played the video games before, don't you
now
know?
summon the blade at will, regardless of my strength. But once summoned, the blade's ravenous appetite could not be contained. It devoured the souls of its victims, and if I allowed it to become over-aroused,
Oh
the
my.
Reaver would now turn its hunger on me.
Yeah, it's a new mechanic for this game. You can activate the Soul Reaver whenever you want, don't to be full health anymore, but each swing you take brings it one step closer to killing you.
So this was the legendary Janos Ordrin, reputed to have been the most ancient and diabolical vampire to have ever existed. According to folklore, he lived high in the cliffs of Nosgoth's northern mountains, and
With all his
preyed
innards
mercilessly
inside.
on the defenseless villagers below. His reign of terror ended when the Seraphim finally hunted him down and tore his throbbing heart from his still-living body. This relic came to be known as the Heart of Darkness,
Which is a game I still need to play.
supposedly imbued with the power to restore vampiric unlife. The Seraphim therefore guarded it carefully, lest the heart fall into the hands of their enemies. But I wondered, Could Janos Ordrin truly have been as monstrous as depicted here? Or was this merely artistic license by the Sarafan, who sought to lionize themselves by demonizing their darkest enemy?
Yeah, he's actually a smashing chap, I hear. Wore Argyle sweaters, love disgusted. Okay, let's push on, shall we? We're not that far away from the first save point. Yeah, this is actually a game that employs save points. Remember when those were popular? I do. Now, a lot of people talk shit about save points, but I think in certain types of game, they actually work really well. This one is actually not one of them, but there you go. Anyhow, you may notice every time I swing while I've got the Reaver active, I now get a little green progress bar. This is taking me one step closer to having my soul eaten. You notice it leaps up anytime it actually manages to consume a soul as well. You can technically get away with like turning it off. The second, like pretty much the second you kill the enemy, to avoid that happening. But it's just such a pain in the arse that I could never be bothered to try and get the timing. And there's a bit of an input lag on the controls for this game as well. I'm actually playing mouse and keyboard, so I can't get it to work with a controller at all. Won't recognise it.
This chapel, I realized, was a memorial to my former Sarafan brethren and myself.
Before they got vampirized, yes.
Martyred here.
And the chaps we killed in the first game.
Cruelly profaned by Kain when he imposed his gift on our noble corpses. For the first time, I beheld the image of my Sarafan.
Yeah, it's kind of a shame the music isn't actually quite as good as the first game, you know? At least in my opinion.
Tortured me to see how noble and pure I had been.
I know. Look at that parting.
Phantasm I had become. And a profound sense of injury, of loss and betrayal welled up in me. So
I know.
Overwhelming I could
no longer has a wiener.
All I wanted at this moment was to find Kain and destroy him.
As opposed to all the other moments at this point? It's been like your thing for the entire game so far, RTL. For the previous game too. Right. No, still not good. Game please. I'm trying to turn the camera to look at them. Thank you. You think that'd be easier with a mouse, but no. Still just as much of a pain in the... How did I hit the one behind me? Somehow missed the last in front. And how did she have time to do spinny, twirly things? And still hit me, but I'm just doing a regular chop. How is that a thing? And the other lass clearly hit me, but I just ignored her and carried on attacking. Like I said, no consistency whatsoever. It is a joke, it really is. Yeah, well. How the hell do I get out of here? There's a stairwell somewhere, if I recall. So like I say, I'm not that far away from where I need to go next. There we go. Yeah, this game actually reminds me a lot of Shadow Man, which I L-played. L-played? Bloody hell. Mixing many different words together in ancient terminologies. Let's played or LP'd. Either would have been fine. Brain of mine. For this channel, like a couple of years ago at this point, wasn't it, at least? It's like the dialogue, the gameplay style, sort of mix of action / puzzling and platforming and all that. Even like the architecture and stuff, and the general game world is quite similar in many respects. Although this is definitely not like the first game. The first game was very grey and green and ghostly and ghastly.
In its former glory, the land overflowed with abundant life and vitality.
Yeah, it's a very different environment. I do see why people disliked this game compared to the original.
A lifeless husk bled dry by the
it takes quite a different art direction by necessity. Because of the story.
This was the fragile world Kain sacrificed to preserve his own petty life and ambition, heedless of the profound cost. The sight only deepened my resolve. I sensed that the pillars lay to the northwest, and if Kain truly waited to confront me there, I would not disappoint him.
Yeah, no explanation of how we sense this, but now we suddenly know why we have a compass. Why it's important to be able to know which of the cardinal directions we're moving in. That first example of having to glide in the game. We're a fair chunk in. We've not really done any of, like, the platforming or puzzling that was, so prevalent. in the first game. The first game was like a platformer first and an action game second, in my opinion. Game 2 semi-reverses the roles.
Landmark, a wisp of the Reaver's energy was drawn to the ring, illuminating.
Or at least it tries to, which is ironic because you can avoid almost all the combat in this. And I'll show you how in later episodes.
I found myself depleted in the spectral realm, and my soul tossed on the ethereal winds, these beacons would draw me back to safety and restore me.
I can't remember if the first game had anything like that. Because I never died in the first game. Yeah, well, never died in spectral form, which I say more accurately. I can't remember. Yeah, it was possible. You could have your energy depleted, but I don't know if it actually did anything. Yeah, whatever. Turn, crank, receive, door. The general idea, and we're going to go over there later. You need a power up to get in, but we are going there. Trust me on that. This game focuses a lot on, rather than the like core abilities that you got as you progressed throughout game 1. This is going to be, how can I put this? It's going to be little upgrades to the Reaver rather than to Raziel per se. It's an interesting approach. Like I say, the game's a bit more sort of focused on the combat and whatnot. To its own detriment, I think.
These ancient
oh god, I'm over half an hour. This is going to crash if I'm not careful. So I'm going to take a break here after I've saved. And hopefully if you liked this and want to see more, I'll see you in the next episode. Till then, bye-bye now.
When weary, and from which I could resume my journey.